In this video, we will be solving multi-step equations. So I have a few examples for us. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, on our first example here, we've got 3a plus 2a plus 8 equals 33. So I have just a few little steps here that might be helpful for you. The first step is always going to be to distribute if you have any parentheses. We don't in this equation, so we're going to skip to combine like terms. We do have those two like terms, those a terms, over on the left-hand side of the equal sign. Let me go ahead and drop down a line here. So we can go ahead and combine 3a plus 2a gives us 5a. And then we're going to drop down our plus 8 equals 33. Okay, so we've combined any like terms. Now we need to make sure that all of our variables are on one side and constants to the other side. So since I only have a single variable term over here on the left, that means I want to get rid of this constant on the left so that I don't have any other constants over there. It's just variable terms on the left-hand side over here. And that follows along with our working backwards in order of operations. We want to get rid of any addition, subtraction first before we move on to any multiplication or division. So these 8's are going to cancel out here, leaving us with 5a equals, and then 33 minus 8 gives us 25. All right, and then our last step is to divide by 5, divide by 5. So then we wind up with a equals 5. All right, and I do want to go over just showing you how to check your work. So we're going to go ahead and substitute in that 5 into our original equation to check to make sure that this solution is correct. So we've got 3a. Instead of a, I'm going to substitute in that 5 plus 2 times 5 plus 8 equals 33. All right, so we're just going to, now we're using order of operations to solve each side of this equation. So 3 times 5, that gives us 15. And then 2 times 5, that gives us a positive 10. Then drop down our 8. And that equals 33. 15 plus 10, that gives us 25. Plus 8 equals 33. And then 25 plus 8 does give us 33. So we've checked our solution, and as long as each side comes out equal, then we are good. So a equals 5 is our solution. All right, let's go on to our second problem. 8 plus 6m minus 1/5 equals negative 9m plus m plus 5. Okay, so I think that we have a few things to take care of here. The first thing that I want to do is clear those fractions. You don't have to clear the fractions. However, I just find that that is the easier thing to do for me. So how I'm going to do that is multiply everything, every term by 5. And the reason that I'm choosing 5 is it's going to cancel out with that denominator of that 1/5 term. It's going to make all the rest of my terms a little bit larger. That's okay. We're not going to have fractions to deal with. So 5 times 8 gives me 40. 5 times 6m gives me 30m. This 5 and the 5 in the denominator are going to cancel out. Make sure to not make the mistake of trying to do 5 times 5 and making it 1 over 25. That's not going to cancel out your fraction. You want that to cancel out with the denominator. So that leaves me with minus 1 equals, and then 5 times negative 9m, negative 45m, plus 5m, plus 25. Okay. So now let's talk about our steps over here. We don't have anything to distribute. So let's go to combine like terms. I do see that I have like terms over here with the 40 minus 1. And I do have two like terms here with the m term. So let's go ahead and combine those. So 40 minus 1 gives me 39 plus 30m equals, and then negative 45 plus 5 gives me negative 40m plus 25. All right, now our third step is to get all of our variables on one side and constants on the other side. So you can decide if you want to get rid of a certain constant term on one side or the other, or a certain variable term on one side or the other first. I just did a video on how to solve equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign, so I recommend checking that out if this seems daunting to you. But what I'm going to do to go ahead and solve this is I'm going to start with my variable term of negative 40, and I'm going to get rid of that for negative 40 or minus 40 by adding 40m to both sides of the equation. So that's going to get rid of it over on the right and leave me with 39 plus 70m equals 25. And since I got rid of that variable term on the right, now I need to get rid of the constant on the left. So I'm going to subtract 39, subtract 39. That gives me 70m equals, and then 25 minus 39 is negative 14. And now all we need to do is get rid of that 70 by dividing both sides by 70. We're just going to simplify this fraction. 14 can go into both of those, 14 and 70 evenly. So we wind up with negative 1 over 5. Okay, and I did want to check our work on this one as well. So I rewrote the original equation with the negative 1/5, substituted in for m. You can pause the video, check out my work. I just solved using order of operations, but I did get 33 over 5 on both sides of the equation once I solved each side. So then that tells me that m equals negative 1/5 is the correct solution for this equation. All right, let's take a look at problem 3. This time we do have some sets of parentheses that we need to distribute. So let's go ahead and do that by taking these outside integers and multiplying them times each of the terms inside the set of parentheses. So 2 times 8y gives us 16y, plus 2 times 8 gives us 16, equals, and we can go ahead and distribute on this side as well. The 5 is over on the right hand side of our parentheses, but that's okay. We're going to distribute it the same way. We're going to multiply that times each of our terms inside. So 5 times 1 gives us 5, and then 5 times negative 10y gives us negative 50y. All right, our next step is to combine like terms. We don't have any like terms on each individual side of our equation. So then the third step would be to get those variables on one side and get the constants on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this constant on the left-hand side by subtracting 16 from both sides of the equation. So that's going to leave me, that's going to cancel out over here. That's going to leave me with 16y equals 5 minus 16 gives me negative 11 minus 50y. All right, and so since I got rid of the constant on the left, now I need to get rid of the variable on the right. So I'm going to add 50y to both sides of the equation, add 50y. All right, that's going to cancel out over here on the right, leaving me with, let's see, this would give me 66y equals negative 11. Now our last step is to divide by 66. Divide by 66, that's going to cancel out that 66 and leave us with y equals, let's just go ahead and simplify this, leave it in fraction form, negative 11 over 66, both of those can be divided by 11, so that's going to leave me with negative 1/6. And as always, we want to check our solution, make sure that it's correct, so I've substituted it in here for y in my original equation. Used order of operations to solve each side, wound up with the same answer for both sides, so we know that our solution of negative 1/6 is correct. All right, for our last equation, we have some fractions, so we could go ahead and just start off by clearing these fractions. However, with our distributive property, I do notice that if I were to multiply this 1/4 times both of these terms inside the parentheses, the fraction is going to take care of itself. Now, we'll still have to deal with this fraction over on the right, but let's go ahead and start off with this one with our distributive property. So we're going to multiply that 1/4 times each of these terms. So 1/4 times 8y, if we want to write it out separately, we can. 1/4 times 8, that 8 and 4 can cross cancel, so that leaves us with 2. So this is going to give us 2y plus, and then 1/4 times 4. So again, if we want to write it out and put that 4 over 1, these are going to cross cancel and just leave us with 1 on this side of the equation. So it's totally fine to write those things out if that is helpful for you. And then that's going to equal our y plus 8 over 3. All right, now I do want to talk about this right-hand side of the equation. As we talked about before in plenty of my other videos, we want to work in backwards order of operations when we are solving equations. When you have two terms that are being added or subtracted, either in the numerator or the denominator of a fraction, you want to treat those as if it is in parentheses. So what that means is that we are going to undo this division of 3 before we undo anything that's going on in parentheses, right? If we're going in backwards order of operations, we're going to undo multiplication or division first before we get to parentheses. Parentheses would be the very last. So let's go ahead and do that, and we're going to multiply all of these terms by 3, and that's going to cancel out that 3 in the denominator. Now, when this 3 cancels out with this 3, we're not distributing this 3 to the y and the plus 8. That 3 gets canceled out with our denominator. So we are just left with y plus 8 on this side of the equation equals, and then 3 times 2y is 6y, and 3 times 1 is 3. All right, so now again we've got our two variables on either side of the equal sign and two constants on either side of the equal sign. So let's decide what to get rid of. I want to get rid of this 1y first, just because I don't want to have to deal with negatives if I don't have to. So that's going to allow me to get a positive 5y. And then for my next step, I'm going to get rid of that plus 3 by subtracting 3 from both sides. So that leaves me with 5y equals 5, and then divide by 5, running out of room down here, divide by 5, and then y equals 1. And just like in our other problems, we want to just check our work. So I went ahead and substituted in that 1 for y in all of these problems, and I got 3 equals 3 here at the bottom. So that means that y equals 1 is a correct solution for us. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful for you in solving multi-step equations. Please let me know what you thought in the comments. Also, in the description below, I'm going to put a link to my pre-algebra series. It has a ton of videos going over all of the pre-algebra skills that you would see in a typical pre-algebra class. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. That really does help me out. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.